All right, so you're ready to take your Japanese listening skills to the next level.
That's what we're here for.
We're going to deep dive into some seriously effective techniques
Based on advice from the World in Japanese blog.
and hopefully help you unlock a whole new level of understanding. Whether it's for
Watching anime without subtitles.
navigating the streets of Tokyo,
Or just enjoying Japanese conversations.
yeah, or even acing that JLPT listening section.
You'll cover it all.
So to start, I think we need to address the elephant in the room, right? Listening to Japanese, especially for us non-native speakers.
It can be tough.
Seriously tough.
It's not just about recognizing words. It's
It's like, how do you even make sense of this flow of sounds?
right, like you're hearing it, but
But it's not clicking.
there's this quote by Michael Ross that I always think about. It says, listening is not just hearing sounds, but processing them into meaningful units. And that involves using your linguistic knowledge, context, and even anticipating what's coming next.
Whoa, that's a mouthful. But it's so true. It's like,
It's like solving a puzzle in real time.
exactly. And that's where a lot of learners hit a wall. But don't worry, we're going to break this down into manageable steps.
Starting with the basics, like segmentation.
Segmentation.
Yeah, being able to identify those individual words.
Oh, and sentence boundaries.
Yes, in that rapid stream of Japanese speech.
Man, I remember when I first started, it was like trying to catch marbles rolling down a hill. It felt like my brain just couldn't keep up.
I get it. It takes time and practice.
Absolutely. And that's why a solid foundation in vocabulary and grammar is so important.
It gives you those building blocks to work with.
Right. Like, if you don't know the individual pieces, you can't put the puzzle together.
Exactly.
Oh,
That's where textbooks like Genki can be super helpful.
yeah, Genki's great. Those integrated listening exercises really helped me solidify those basic patterns.
And once you have that foundation, you can start exploring more advanced techniques,
Hmm.
like transcription.
You know, I've found transcription to be incredibly valuable, even at an advanced level.
It's often overlooked, but it's such a powerful tool.
Seriously, it forces you to slow down and truly engage with the
You can
sounds.
connect those sounds to the written word.
Right. It's like you're not just passively listening anymore. You're actively deciphering the code.
And it helps you isolate those tricky words.
Oh, tell me about it. I've had so many moments where I couldn't quite catch a word by ear.
But once you write it down,
It's like a light bulb goes off, you can look it up, and everything clicks into place.
those aha moments are the best. And speaking of tricky words, Japanese has its fair share of them, especially with homophones, words that sound the same,
But have totally different meanings.
like kiai meaning beautiful.
And kiru meaning to cut.
Oh, I've made that mistake before.
I remember once I thought someone was complimenting my cooking, saying it was kire. Turns out they said kiru.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was a bit embarrassing. But hey, you live and learn.
Exactly. Context is key in those situations.
So we've got segmentation down. We're starting to tackle tricky words. But what about when the conversation speeds up?
Ah, that's when things get really challenging.
It's like my brain just goes into overload.
That's where speed control comes in.
You mean like,
Like you can actually manipulate the speed of the audio.
as you can slow things down when needed?
Exactly. Or even speed it up for an added challenge.
Wait, increasing the speed, how does that help? I would think it just make things more confusing.
It might seem counterintuitive, but
I thought,
think of it as a workout for your ears.
okay, I like that analogy.
When you push yourself to listen at a faster pace, your brain has to work harder to keep up.
So it's like training your ears to be more agile.
Exactly. And it can actually make you more attentive and sharpen your processing speed.
That's fascinating. So it's like you're building up your listening stamina. What about multiple replays and paused listening? I've heard about those too.
Those are great techniques for active listening as well.
How so?
Well, multiple replays give you the chance to catch those details you might have missed the first time.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You get multiple chances to process the information.
And pause listening is all about taking control of the listening experience.
Control.
Yeah, like hitting that pause button gives you a moment to digest what you just heard. Maybe jot down a quick note, repeat a phrase to test your memory, or even try to predict what comes next.
Ooh, I like that. It's like you're actively engaging with the material instead of just letting it wash over you.
Exactly. And for those times when you really need a helping hand, listening with a transcript can be incredibly valuable.
A transcript, isn't that kind of like cheating?
Not at all. It's actually backed by research.
Yeah.
Studies have shown that it can be more effective than just listening or reading alone.
Interesting. So how does that work?
Well, it bridges the gap between recognizing words in written and spoken forms.
Oh, I see. Because sometimes you can read a word and understand it, but then you hear it spoken and it's like, what was that?
Right, exactly. And the transcript helps to connect those two.
So it's like having a roadmap while you're listening.
It's like having the subtitles on, but you're actively listening and not just reading along.
So what's the best way to use a transcript? Should we rely on it all the time, or is there a risk of becoming too dependent on it?
It's all about finding that balance. Think of it like training wheels. They're great for support when you're starting out, but eventually you want to be able to ride without them.
I like that analogy.
So start by listening without the transcript, then use it to check your understanding and fill in any gaps.
Okay, so challenge yourself first, then use the transcript as a safety net.
Exactly. You want to push yourself, but also have that support when needed.
Makes sense. Now, I'm curious about this thing called staged listening. What's that all about?
Oh, staged listening is a fantastic way to break down the listening process into manageable steps. It's like a multi-step approach to really maximize your comprehension.
Ooh, tell me more.
So the first stage is listening for the gist. Just trying to grasp the overall idea without getting bogged down in every detail.
Okay, like skimming a chapter to get the main points.
Exactly. Then you move on to multiple replays, gradually picking up more details with each listen.
So you're adding layers of understanding.
Precisely. And then you can incorporate paused listening, focusing on specific sections, repeating sentences aloud.
Really dissecting the language.
Yes. And finally, you bring in the transcript to clarify any remaining uncertainties.
Ah, so it's like you're building up your understanding step by step.
Exactly. And resources like JapanesePod101.com can be incredibly helpful for finding staged listening materials for all levels.
That's a great tip. They have a ton of great content.
They really do. And they've helped me a lot in my own Japanese journey.
All right, so we've talked about segmentation, transcription, speed control, paused listening, transcripts, and even staged listening. Whew, that's a lot.
It is, but it's all about finding what works best for you. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
But I'm guessing there's more to listening comprehension than just understanding individual words and sentences, right?
You're absolutely right. True listening comprehension goes beyond the words themselves.
So what else is there?
It's about meaning building, connecting the dots, understanding the speaker's intentions, and seeing the bigger picture.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do we do that?
Well, it involves adding context, drawing inferences from what's being said, and identifying the speaker's main points. It's like piecing together a puzzle. Each word is a piece, and you're trying to see the complete picture.
So it's not just about understanding the literal meaning, but also the implied meaning.
Exactly. It's about reading between the lines and grasping the nuances of the language.
That sounds challenging, but also exciting. How can we actively practice building meaning while listening?
It involves using a variety of active comprehension techniques.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Well, one effective method is note-taking.
Note-taking? I thought that was more for like lectures and stuff.
It can be helpful in those situations, but it's also a great way to practice active listening in general,
How so?
because it forces you to really focus on the main points and summarize the key ideas in your own words.
Okay, so it's not about writing down every single word.
Right, it's more about capturing the essence of what's being said.
So it's like creating a mental map of the conversation.
Exactly. And another powerful technique is message reconstruction.
Message reconstruction. What's that?
Simply put, it's retelling the content you heard in your own words.
Oh, okay. So it's like you're explaining what you just learned to someone else.
Exactly. It helps you solidify your understanding and identify any areas where you might be a bit fuzzy.
So it's a good way to test yourself.
Precisely.
Mm.
And ideally, you practice this with a teacher or a language partner who can give you feedback.
Speaking of language partners, any recommendations on where to find them?
Sites like italki are great for finding teachers and tutors.
Oh, yeah. iTalk is awesome. I've used it before.
And there are numerous language exchange platforms where you can connect with native Japanese speakers who are learning your language.
That's a great way to get some real-world practice.
Absolutely. And don't forget about online communities where you can write in Japanese and get feedback from native speakers.
Those are fantastic resources. Thanks for sharing those. So we've talked a lot about the cognitive aspects of listening, like segmentation, identifying words, building meaning.
But listening is not just a cognitive process, it's an emotional one as well.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, think about it. Language is so much more than just words and grammar.
It's a way of connecting with other people.
Exactly. It's a window into another culture, another way of thinking, another way of being.
So when we listen to a language we're learning, we're not just processing sounds, we're connecting with another world.
Precisely. And those connections can evoke a wide range of emotions.
Like what?
Well, sometimes those moments of understanding when you finally grasp a tricky concept or have a successful conversation can spark immense joy.
Oh, absolutely. Those are the moments that keep us motivated.
It's like you feel a sense of accomplishment, like you've climbed a mountain.
Yeah, I totally get that. But let's be real, there are also those moments when you feel frustrated, discouraged, even overwhelmed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when you encounter those inevitable
But
roadblocks
like when you think you're following along and then suddenly you're completely lost.
to getting a wall.
Yeah, and it's easy to get discouraged in those moments.
It's important to be kind to ourselves in those moments,
To remember that it's okay to not understand everything.
and that making mistakes is part of the learning process.
It's all part of the journey.
Exactly. And sometimes it helps to remind ourselves why we're learning this language in the first place.
To connect with family
To
members,
travel the world.
to experience a new culture.
Whatever your reasons are, they can be a powerful source of motivation when the going gets tough.
That's a good point. It's easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day grind of studying and forget about the bigger picture.
So it's important to keep those goals in mind.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about some of the specific challenges that learners often face when listening to Japanese. I know I personally struggled with homophones for a long time.
Ah, yes, homophones. Those can be tricky.
Seriously. Words that sound the same but have completely different meanings.
About context.
And subtle differences in pronunciation.
Right. And another challenge is dealing with different speech styles and dialects.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Japanese has so many regional variations.
It does, each with its own unique pronunciation, vocabulary, and even grammar.
It's like learning a whole new language within a language.
It can feel that way sometimes. But the best way to tackle it is through exposure.
Exposure.
Yeah, like listen to a variety of speakers from different regions.
Okay, so diversify your listening input.
Exactly. Watch movies and dramas from various parts of Japan.
And if you have the opportunity, find language partners who speak different dialects. So it's about expanding your listening palette, getting a taste of the full spectrum of spoken Japanese.
I like that analogy. The more you immerse yourself in the rich tapestry of spoken Japanese, the more comfortable you'll become navigating those variations.
That makes sense. But it's not just about passive listening, is it? We also need to be actively engaged in the process.
You're absolutely right. Active listening is key.
So what are some practical techniques that listeners can use to become more active listeners?
Well, one simple yet effective technique is to set a clear purpose for your listening.
A purpose.
Yeah, like ask yourself, why am I listening to this? What do I want to get out of it?
Okay, I see what you mean. If I'm watching a Japanese drama, my purpose might be to understand the plot and the characters' relationships.
Right? And if you're listening to a news broadcast, your purpose might be to stay informed about current events.
So having a clear purpose helps you focus your attention.
Exactly. It makes the listening experience more meaningful. And don't be afraid to take notes. Pause the audio. Rewind sections that are challenging, or even repeat phrases aloud.
Those are all great tips. It's like being an active reader, highlighting important passages and making notes in the margins.
Exactly. You want to engage with the material on multiple levels.
You mentioned shadowing earlier. Can you remind us what that is and why it's beneficial?
Sure. Shadowing is a technique where you listen to a piece of audio and try to repeat it simultaneously, mimicking the speaker's intonation, rhythm, and pronunciation.
It's like you're trying to become the speaker's shadow.
Exactly. It can be challenging at first, but it's a great way to improve your pronunciation and intonation.
And to get a feel for the natural flow of the language.
Precisely. And don't worry about being perfect. The key is to just keep practicing and to have fun with it.
So it's like learning a new dance routine.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
You start by practicing the individual steps, then gradually piece them together until you can perform the entire routine smoothly.
I like that. And remember, just like with dancing, shadowing gets easier with time and practice.
Absolutely. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll become with the rhythms and sounds of the language.
Okay, so we've got shadowing. Any other active listening techniques you'd recommend?
Another technique that I find incredibly valuable is what I call predictive listening.
Predictive listening. What's that?
It's all about trying to anticipate what the speaker's going to say next based on the context, the topic, and your knowledge of the language.
That sounds challenging. How do you even begin to predict what someone is going to say in a foreign language?
It's like solving a mystery.
A mystery.
Yeah. You gather clues from the surrounding conversation, from your understanding of the topic, and from your knowledge of Japanese grammar and vocabulary.
Okay, so you're using your existing knowledge to make educated guesses.
Exactly. And then you try to piece those clues together to anticipate what might come next.
So it's like playing a game of guess the next word, but on a larger scale.
Precisely. And even if you don't guess correctly every time, the process of thinking critically about the language and anticipating what might come next can significantly enhance your listening comprehension.
I love that. It's like actively participating in the conversation, even when you're not the one speaking.
Exactly. It's about engaging your mind and trying to stay one step ahead of the speaker.
It's like a mental workout for your listening skills.
I like that. And it's also a fantastic way to build your vocabulary and grammar skills.
How so?
As you listen and try to predict what's coming next, you're constantly challenging yourself to access your knowledge of the language and to make connections between different words and grammatical structures.
So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
You're improving your listening skills while simultaneously expanding your vocabulary and grammar knowledge.
Exactly. It's all about finding those synergistic connections.
I love it. But let's be realistic. Listening to Japanese in real-world situations can be quite daunting.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially with all the background noise, fast speech, and unfamiliar accents.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
It can. And that's why it's so important to practice listening in a variety of environments.
So don't just limit yourself to quiet, controlled settings.
Right. Challenge yourself to listen to Japanese in noisy cafes, on crowded trains, or even while walking down a busy street.
So it's about training your ears to filter out distractions.
Exactly. The more you do it, the easier it will become.
It's like a mental workout for your listening muscles.
I like that analogy. The more you exercise those muscles, the stronger they become.
So to wrap up this section on active listening, it sounds like the key is to be engaged, to be curious, and to be willing to challenge yourself.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Now, before we move on to our final thoughts, is there anything else you'd like to add about the emotional aspects of language learning?
It's interesting, right? We spend so much time focusing on the technical stuff,
Like grammar rules and vocabulary.
but we often forget about the emotional side of language learning.
Yeah, it's not just about memorizing words and structures, it's about
Connecting with another culture?
expressing yourself in new ways.
Yeah, expanding your understanding of the world.
It's like opening a door to a whole new world of experiences,
Exactly. And those experiences can be incredibly enriching.
both personally and intellectually.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to acknowledge that the emotional journey of language learning can be a bit of a roller coaster.
A roller coaster.
Yeah. Like there will be moments of exhilaration when you make a breakthrough or have a successful conversation.
Oh yeah, those are the best. Like when you can finally understand a whole conversation without needing to look up every other word.
Exactly. But there will also be times when you feel frustrated, discouraged, maybe even a little overwhelmed.
It's like any worthwhile pursuit, right? There are going to be ups and downs.
Absolutely. And that's where having a supportive community can make all the difference.
Community.
Yeah, like surround yourself with fellow learners, teachers, native speakers,
People who can encourage you
offer guidance.
and celebrate your successes.
It's like having a team of cheerleaders and coaches who are there to support you every step of the way.
I love that analogy.
And when you stumble, they're there to help you get back up and keep going.
Because, let's face it, we all stumble from time to time.
We do. But it's important to remember that those challenging moments are often opportunities for growth.
And resilience.
Exactly. And it's all part of the journey.
Speaking of the journey, I think it's important to remember that learning a language is a lifelong process.
It really is. There's always something new to discover, something new to learn,
So it's not about reaching a destination, it's about embracing the journey itself.
with all its twists and turns.
Absolutely. And as you continue on this journey, remember to
Be kind to yourself
celebrate your progress.
and never lose sight of the joy of discovery.
Those are some beautiful words to live by. This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of Japanese listening. Any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap things up?
I would just say, don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone. Challenge yourself, explore different resources, and immerse yourself in the language as much as possible.
And most importantly,
Have fun.
I love it. It's a reminder that learning a language should be an adventure, not a chore. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Japanese listening skills. Until next time, happy